Microphone 3.
Chairman, I'd like to introduce Phillip Sweeney.
Yes, Doug. There's two essentials in life, and they both start with B. One is beer, and the other is banking. And you have experience in both. And in fact, after your stint at Independent Liquor, you might even wish to add a third, bourbon. Now, I spent most of my career in the brewing industry, and brewers have long recognised that they have a social licence to operate. And one of my last projects, which I'm very proud of, was that I was part of a team that established Drinkwise Australia, which was a cross-industry funded organisation to promote responsible drinking and to warn about hazards of excessive drinking. For example, pregnant women shouldn't drink. And it struck me that if the banking industry, and this is not just restricted to National Australia Bank, wants to restore trust with the community, then why don't they set up something which I've called Borrowwise Australia, which would be something similar to Drinkwise, but it would be there to promote financial literacy education on a voluntary basis to those seeking to borrow substantial funds of money for home purchases, SME borrowing or investment loans. I'm sure at the moment many financial service providers will claim that many borrowers get themselves into trouble, especially those with low levels of financial literacy, and especially people with poor English skills. So the banking industry, especially after the Post-Royal Commission, and especially after all these scandals we keep hearing almost every week in the papers, I believe that it needs to consider seriously about establishing something like Borrowwise Australia, which would be funded by all the banks. And I'm asking you perhaps if you could put your hand up to perhaps coordinate a cross-industry team to explore that opportunity. And at the moment, the banks are putting full-page ads in the newspapers. Well, surely they've got to do more than that, and they've certainly got a lot more money that they could chip in to do something and show that they're constructive about improving the outcomes of borrowers. At the moment, many end up financially destroyed, and I'm sure that they could do with, a lot of people could do with improved financial literacy, which could be a program run by the industry. So that's something I'm putting on the table for you, Doug, and you might like to comment on it.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney, and I can only agree with the need of better financial literacy in our communities. It's interesting to observe the difference. Here in Australia, the industry has been necessarily preoccupied with the outcomes of the Royal Commission and the wrongs that have been done to customers by the banks and getting them fixed. In New Zealand, we have been working on financial literacy for the last 2 years in conjunction with the government. So I do have some experience in exactly what you are saying, and we are aware of that here at NAB, and now I can see a time coming where that will make a lot of sense coming out of the dramas that we've been dealing with for the last year and a half.
Okay, well, I appreciate it if you could pursue that matter. Thank you.
Thank you.